Jake the Snake Roberts gave his thoughts recently on WWE Unreal, the new Netflix behind-the-scenes WWE documentary series, which is coming out in just over a week's time. Jake Roberts said about it, "I think it's foolish. I don't think that the product will ever warrant enough money being made for the damage that it will do. That's just my own thoughts," he said. Well, my own thoughts were that, let's face it, everybody knows wrestling is fake at this point, or they like to call it fake, whatever term you want to use, right? But what they don't have is the respect for the business. So by putting this show out there and showing people who might not be massive fans what goes on behind the scenes, well, that way you might actually give people who maybe didn't have respect for wrestling more respect for wrestling. I did a video on it. I was very positive. And I thought, well, there we are, situation over. I checked the Instagram comments, and there we have Shad. And Shad, I'm passing it straight to you. Just straight up agreeing with Jake the Snake Roberts. I want to hear your take on this.
Yeah, I agree with Jake the Snake Roberts. Call me old school. Call me an old head. Call me uncle. Call me whatever you want to call me in that situation. I feel like we are catering to the people that you said don't respect it. Why have respect for those who don't show respect? Why not respect to the fans that have been in this capacity from the get-go? Why are we just actively destroying kayfabe? They're acting like wrestling is Santa Claus or something like that. It's not. There's nuance to it. It's a show at the end of the day, and let's keep it a show, but it's more than just a show. It's some of the best athletes participating. I don't like the whole notion of, oh, let's show the behind the scenes. Let's see what these matches are set to be. Let's see these people talking about how they're going to set up a match. Miss me with that. I don't care about none of that. I care about what's on my TV screen weekly. I care about the storylines that keep me invested as a fan. I care about the quality matches that are put into it. Okay? Like, I don't need to know about the business practices and how tough of a job Paul Levesque has to do. I don't care about his little meeting with his clipboard showing all the potential matches if you zoom in and whatnot. None of that matters to me. And that takes away from the essence that is professional wrestling. Like, I just think that the WWE and this whole TKO partnership has gone so corporate, has gone so like full of themselves how they do stuff, and we're losing what is like pro wrestling at the end of the day. And like I'm not saying look, I'm not naive. I ain't gonna believe the Undertaker really gonna rise from the dead and all of this crazy stuff like that. But like, you can still add a bit of element. We're going a little too full throttle, showing like that this is a show, and this is how we direct it, and this is how we do all that, and look how much we're making off of this. Like, nah, man, it's so whack.
The one thing I will say, though, in response to that, is with movies, with TV shows, they have behind-the-scenes footage for that. There are documentaries showing what happens behind the scenes. How is this any different?
Movies are movies. This is like, that's something that is performed within that you watch a movie or whatnot. This is like pro wrestling is its own space. Like, why can't it still be its own space? Why do we have to go so far into treating it like it's something completely different? Like, I don't have an issue showing glimpses of stuff like that, but us going through the entirety of what's happening through the build and backstage, like, that's the thing. People care about stuff that is not related to the show anymore. People care about the drama. People care about the reports on the dirt sheets. Well, people care about contract situations. Who has creative control? People care about stuff that don't matter and don't care about the actual show.
But I would add, back in the day, to Ben's point when it comes to the documentary thing, but also to your point, Shad, you know, the special features of a DVD would feature, you know, documentary style filming of how it was made and whatnot, right? But it wasn't pushed mainstream as the main product. And I think
is this meant to be the main product?
I don't think it is, but at the same time, it is meant to capture casual fans. This is the same strategy Netflix, and I don't even blame the WWE. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to jump the gun here, but I do have a lot.
No, go for it. Take it.
But I don't want to blame Netflix. But if you look at the success they've had with the F1 series, the success that they've had with behind the scenes type of sports related things, whether it's the quarterback series, all of this stuff, this is supposed to be the WWE version, but it's pushed to the top just like Monday Night Raw is. And that's where I'm in agreement with Shad here. And the perfect person to ask is Jake the Snake Roberts, because guess who has the most history? And boy, do I love history. Y'all know that. And boy, do I love Jake the Snake Roberts. But if you haven't seen Beyond the Mat, you know that Jake can speak upon being a heavily featured part of a behind the scenes documentary style outside of kayfabe professional wrestling feature, in this case, when it comes to Beyond the Mat, at least. And it didn't actually paint him in a very good light. It didn't do much positive for Jake the Snake Roberts. And so his quote in particular is fascinating to me, but who's a bigger expert than that guy outside of maybe Mick Foley, who's equally featured in the same program? Now, when it comes to the Unreal thing, I absolutely get where Shad is coming from. It's almost too much insight. I like it. I wish it was more of like a special release thing as opposed to a series. The series part is, I think, what bothers me, because I understand it's to the F1 show back to circle it back around to Netflix caused a lot of people to watch F1 races that didn't before. And exactly. I believe that that's the hope. I don't believe when it comes to pro wrestling that it works exactly the same. It's not like telling us about how they manufacture or engineer the cars, right? It's not about how many times, in quarterback that they run plays in training camp. It's not the same deal. It's too much inside baseball. If you're going to watch the product itself, if the goal is to get from one point to the other, which is you watch this one and you're like, oh, maybe I should actually check out the WWE. And we've talked about Total Divas as well. I like the idea in principle. I don't know how many people that didn't watch it before watch these programs and then decide to watch the on-screen product. Because once that veil is lifted early, not that you need, like Shad said before, we all know what's going on when it comes to the, it's predetermined and everything. To convince somebody to watch a predetermined product by showing them how it goes down behind the scenes, that's a reach for me. It's different. It's different than.
But could it give them a whole other respect for it, though? No,
I would hope. That would be my hope, right? I think that's best case scenario. But I do think that this is it's a dicier, it's a tougher line to navigate than people are giving it credit for. I think the series will be electric, and I do want to be clear, Ben. I'm gonna obviously watch it.
Of course.
But at the same time, I can understand why you might be a little bit hesitant about this one, because wrestling is different than the other sports that Netflix has done.
But let me ask you talking about different. I don't think there's anything different in what Jake the Snake's currently doing on his podcast, where he said this quote, where he is revealing all the secrets.
Very true. Very true. And that's where it kind of gets funky.
It's hypocritical.
My only thing there would be, though, Jake's audience is all hardcore fans that already know. And the audience for this.
But everybody knows.
But the intention on this, I know everyone does, and I agree with you on that. But the intention on this one is to bring in the people to hook people with what's going on backstage.
Exactly, right? But I think there is a beauty in that, right? When you have these people who are saying, I'm not watching wrestling. Why? Oh, it's fake, or it's rubbish, whatever. You show them a match. And sometimes you show them a match, it's enough to get them hooked. Other times it's not. They say, oh, well, in real life, they couldn't do that. I'm not interested, blah, 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 blah. Maybe when you show them what happens behind the scenes, how you get to that point, maybe then they'll get a new respect for it. Maybe then they'll watch the product. And yes, they'll maybe view it through a different lens compared to other fans. But is that necessarily a negative, or is that just the evolution of this business? Because this business has to grow.
No, and it's a great question. And again, it doesn't bother me, but I could see why it would bother somebody, I guess, would be my answer to that one, right? Personally, I have no issue with it. I love the behind the scenes stuff. I watch the special features on DVDs, right? At the end of the day, you know what I mean? It's not hard for me to wrap my head around that stuff. But I would just say for the general audience, it is interesting. We'll also see how it does here.
I think it's
too,
going to do
because
well.
I think it. I don't want to say I'm afraid. What I'm afraid, I guess I do have one fear. I'll be honest here.
Okay, go
I
for
have
it.
one fear is that it's going to affect on-screen storylines, because what happens here behind the scenes will affect people's perceptions of certain performers. And I don't think that that's necessarily the best thing for professional wrestling.
That's interesting. That is going to be interesting to see how in depth they go over certain topics. Because if, let's say, they did a big thing, I mean, I'm pretty sure the topics are already out, the episode titles, but let's say they did half an hour showing Karrion Kross. He's meant to be getting booed on TV. Next week he comes out, he gets cheered. That's where maybe, to your point, I could see it affecting it. But I get the perception, at least, that it's mainly going to be showing Triple H and the writer's room and not as much talent.
I do think it'll feature less talent, but that's where it's interesting, though. If they're in the writer's room, they're going to be talking about talent.
They will.
And you're going to get insight like that. Yeah. I'm more fascinated by what
Cross
to see,
sucks.
Right? Exactly. Like, I don't have an answer to exactly how it'll affect it, but that would be my one fear, is the potential for, and I don't think that's necessarily also the worst thing, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. People got runs off Total Divas. Right?
That's another good point. I wanted to bring that up too. Let's not pretend they've never done this. Yes, Total Divas was a mix of being scripted and real, but they showed the writer's room. They showed the people backstage. They literally talked about that WrestleMania
Mark
30
Carrano
moment where a
had
match,
more screen time than
got cut.
Mark Carrano had the most screen time of his career.
Nobody knew him. Nobody knew him.
Yeah,
he became a micro celebrity.
He became an internet heel, literally.
I love how they just give him the job every time.
Yeah, he
to just deliver bad news.
He's the only guy I've ever seen get under on a reality show. Everybody even liked The Situation by the end of Jersey Shore.
We've got Garrett saying, the only wrestler in WWE doing backstage content is Logan Paul. We need more of this. Yeah, I mean, exactly. He's doing it too. I mean, I'm all for it. I really am. Garrett saying that he would like it, or he'd think it'd be more entertaining if they took a more UFC approach of PLEs. So I guess what you're saying is they show behind the scenes and the build up to a PLE. I think if it's too close, that is when you get into the trouble of it affecting storylines. If you leave 6 months like they have done, or 3 months, I think it puts you in safer oceans.